Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily television news. We're broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show with over 10 million views on the daily live queer news show in the world.
We are proud that we have more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
Nearly 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 90 days. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community.
It is Tuesday, January 7. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community.
Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience. Our television, news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors here at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Vaughn Biggs. He's a community outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health, a vice chair of the Ryan White Part A Planning Council, and a founding board member of TransEd. Vaughn, Holy Cross Health is participating in two of Pride Center's events, the Town Hall and the After Dark Market, on January 14th and 16th, respectively. Tell me, what's happening?
Well, it's once again, Holy Cross is out in the community. We're providing vaccines to the community. We do flu because it is kind of that season still, and COVID, hepatitis, and meningitis vaccines. We don't do Mpox anymore because it's not a state of emergency situation, so that's a great thing. But it's a way for the community that's coming out. They're giving a talk on the 14th, which one of the doctors that's going to be there is Dr. Gorenzek, who's one of the doctors I know that used to work with Holy Cross, and she's just a literal genius when it comes to infectious disease and discussions, especially talking about vaccines and being vaccinated. So it's going to be a great discussion to have, and it's a way to introduce people to the idea of vaccines. And then following that up then for the nighttime event on Thursday night, at the After Dark event, we'll have vaccines there the same night. So people have an opportunity to get those vaccines twice in the week.
So it's a great way to get good information. And again, this is another example of just the way Holy Cross is out there in the community,
right,
doing the outreach that hospitals like Holy Cross should be doing.
And we'll have our, obviously we'll have a nurse there to give the vaccine, but we'll also have our 3 doctors from the Wilton Manors Clinic, along with our new nurse practitioner that's there, because we are celebrating. This is her 25 years that clinic has been in Wilton Manors, so it's kind of a awesome thing to be able to be part of that and then come out to these events and provide this to.
Isn't it dangerous to give out shots after dark?
No, we do it at the Eagle too.
Oy vey.
I think it just
Use a blue light there.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Town Hall and the After Dark Market at Pride Center on January 14th and January 16th. Let's welcome anchor Corey Billions. Corey is a pharmacy technician and proud LGBTQ community member from West Palm Beach. Corey, the 2025 South Florida Fair begins on January 17th at Ford Theater. Tell me, what's happening?
The South Florida Fair is around every year, the beginning of the year, and it's a tradition for me and my family to go. It's such a heartwarming place to be. There's like petting zoos and rides galore. You get to be on the merry-go-round and the Ferris wheel. It's just a way for me, So, I'm of a certain age now, a little long in the tooth. It's for me to touch base with the inner child and, eat elephant ears and have a good time. It's very family oriented, and they do a special on Martin Luther King Day, which is the 20th, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's a very positive, very fun place, and I love to go every year, every single year.
I'm not usually very good around children, but I do love a fair. So
You've had many a fair.
I've had many a fair.
Aren't you good around animals?
Well, I'm not going to answer that question, but I do enjoy fairs. I know growing up, we always had one, a local one where I grew up as well. So, and I've been to the South Florida one before. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the 2025 South Florida Fair on January 17th. Let's welcome anchor Glen Weinzimer. He has been a South Florida advocate for over 30 years, raising awareness and more than $16 million for the HIV/AIDS community for 20 plus years. He's also a travel director, corporate event planner, and former owner of Bona Italian Restaurant. Glen, the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida presents Broadway Blockbusters on March 21st. That's right around my birthday. Tell me what's happening.
Yeah, I know what you're getting for your birthday. They're bringing the Great White Way to South Florida, and I don't know if you've had a chance to go to any of their concerts, but like the holiday concert and stuff, they really bring the best of the best. The chorus is huge and such an advocate in our community and is out there and all about. So I think tickets are start at $27 or $38, which is extremely reasonable. It should be a great evening with great music. They've got a tremendous board and a tremendous choreographer and everything, and so I'm sure it's going to be another one of those sing-along, tap your toes, and do a little all your favorite Broadway hits.
So Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida Broadway Blockbusters on March 21st. Let's welcome anchor Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Alex, South Florida Pride concert band Youth Pride Band Season 14 begins on February 23rd at Wells Hall at the Parker. Tell me, what's happening?
It's wonderful. This band is now old enough to participate in its own youth band in season 14. I always enjoy the Pride Band. We've had the director on this show before to explain both the adult and youth Pride performances. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun time for people to watch and to support queer youth.
So, has anybody at the table been in a band before?
Yes.
No, my singing voice is horrible.
Yeah. No.
I was in the Knickerbocker Band of Bugle Corps. Say that 4 times. I know.
I was
Our team leader was arrested for child molestation.
What?
Our high school band director was arrested for child pornography. That's not saying a lot. Let's not talk about that anymore. The Youth Pride Band Season 14 though is a really this is going to be a great thing. I love to see students out there, young people, learning and sharing their gifts with the community. So Queer News Tonight will look forward to seeing you at Youth Pride Band Season 14 on February 23rd.
And this is tonight's lead anchor, Dr. Tai Houser. He is a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and Florida Atlantic University. Tai, the 2025 GayOcho Festival is set for Sunday, February 16th. Tell me, what's happening?
So this is really cool. This is the 8th annual GayOcho Festival. It's on GayOcho in Little Havana. It's going to be on February 16th, free to the public with celebration of all things diverse and inclusive for the LGBTQ community, including music, dance, art, food, and culture. So make sure you get down there on February 16th and enjoy some great food, some great art, and celebrate diversity and inclusion on GayOcho.
That sounds amazing. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at GayOcho on February 16th.
Now, let's dive deep into the big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Tai Houser. Let's queer up politics. Jimmy Carter was the first president to invite gay activists to the White House. Former President Jimmy Carter, a champion for LGBTQ rights, has died at 100. As he lies in a national memorial at the Capitol, Queer News Tonight reflects on Carter's role with the LGBTQ community. Carter, who was president from 1977 to 81, was known for his human rights advocacy, and in 1977 he ended the ban on gay and lesbian personnel in the Foreign Service. That same year, his administration welcomed gay activists to the White House for discussions. He was the first American president to take that step in American history. Carter supported marriage equality and in 2015 said, quote, "I believe Jesus would approve." Tributes continue to pour in honoring his legacy. Human Rights Campaign President Kelly Robinson praised Carter's legacy as an LGBTQ ally. She highlighted his commitment to public service and advocacy even after leaving the presidency. Carter was unique in his advocacy and support of the LGBTQ community, being a white man from the deep evangelical South. And I think that's really one of the things that we need to remember about Carter is he represented such progress, especially for the 70s, and he comes from a tradition that today I don't think he could come from. I don't think there is an evangelical South that would allow a Carter to live. And in lots of ways, that makes him underappreciated for both his presidency and his legacy.
I don't know. I feel like Stacey Abrams would be far more progressive, and she's gone very far in Georgia over the years. But what's interesting with Jimmy Carter, people don't know, the organization that actually met with President Carter was the National LGBTQ Task Force, actually, in the 70s, which is fun. So it's always fun to see HRC talk about it instead and try and take credit for it, the usual, right? But in all seriousness, it was so wonderful to see that and hear. When I remember being at the task force, hearing about that history, though I believe someone here may have met President Carter once.
Is there anyone here old enough to have met President
Who could
Carter?
that be?
I don't know.
Clearly, I'm the one. No, in high school, I met him and several other presidents when they were coming through Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is not where I'm from, but I was up there for competition. And it was a really great experience. I even have photos. Search me on Facebook.
100 years, though, that's a lot of life experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do if I hit 60 or 70 or 80.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
But 100 years, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
He was like such a humble man. I mean, he's probably the only past president that like refuses a lot of the extra Secret Service security, who still lives in the house he built in the 60s.
Yep.
I mean,
I heard he was like a pastor up until his wife
he was
died, I
teaching teaching school until basically before he went into assisted living or did nursing at home. He started Habitat for Humanity,
Right.
which crossed all borders and all different economic groups. And I remember working for Hyatt, and we went out and did a Habitat for Humanity series of projects in underserved communities. And so, he not only helped us as an LGBT community get some focus, but he helped so many others that were underserved.
And he had solar panels installed at the White House that Reagan then took down
Exactly.
because we can't have too much progress.
Well, that's the thing
Looks like
with
the future.
with Carter, and I would love to see a queer writer maybe dive into this more. Like, Carter was very good on LGBTQ rights in many ways, but he also is kind of the father or grandfather of neoliberalism, and he was challenged by Ted Kennedy because of that. And it's interesting to see, would he, if he had not run again, would Reagan have won? Did he accidentally help usher that in? And I see that with the current president, who was also the first U.S. senator to endorse Jimmy Carter, with him being a one-termer, and looking at the children like, maybe if you guys didn't try to run again, would we have been in a different country, or would we have just ended up with the same thing? It's hard to tell. Right.
Yeah.
You can say that with every election.
That's right.
No.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. Could Gilead once-a-year HIV prevention shot finally change the future forever? Gilead Sciences announced plans to begin phase 3 testing for a yearly HIV prevention shot. If effective, it could be the closest to an HIV vaccine yet. The drug, lenacapavir, has already shown success as a 6-month HIV prevention option. Gilead aims to file for approval for the 6-month regimen earlier this year. Trials for the once-a-year formulation are set to begin in 2025, targeting a late 2027 for filing. The advancement promises a major step in reducing the global HIV infection rate. Many hope the yearly shot will simplify prevention and change lives in significant ways. I remember reporting this story when it was announced just about the 6-month, but to continue to see the advancements to where we're looking at longer and longer injection solutions, I'm excited to see also where that's going to do for HIV treatment. So I'm hopeful that this, continues to prove that, and that it's handled on both sides versus just prevention.
And I think one of the important things to note is that as much as HIV still remains an issue here in the United States, worldwide, the difference this will make, where it is hard to get clean water in certain parts of the world, where the access to that healthcare is not available. Being able to get a shot once a year, through mobile units, whatever that goes into a town, that's a game changer to keep people healthy and alive. And that same thing would hold true here in underprivileged. If you go down towards, I'm sorry, you can say? Okay.
No, you finished. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. You go down to Miami, and they have the IDEA program through the University of Miami, and that works with people that live under the bridges that are forgotten. And they're still sharing needles, and the biggest thing is the transfer of it. And then they give them medication, and then it gets, quote unquote, stolen. And you run into this whole thing, how do you protect it? And how much do you give them? And do they have to keep coming back? This ends all of that by saying, okay, we took care of this for a year, and they can come back in a year.
Access is a good thing that you're bringing up, Glenn, because, this has been a really wonderful breakthrough, and apparently it might cost as little as $40 a year to make this, but the potential cost is going to be $40,000 to $44,000. I don't see health insurers okaying that in the United States. I don't know who's going to actually have access if we don't get this price under control. Now, of course, sometimes insurers start with a very crazy price and it gets more negotiated, but if we don't actually make this an affordable drug, it's going to be really hard to get it.
So I can tell you that, I take 13 pills a night. And one of the pills is over $2,000, and I have to get it refilled every 90 days. So if you take that and you add one or two of the other drugs I'm on that are just as high, you're at that $44,000 by the end of the year. So you really, in many ways, it's a cost savings. And of course, overseas, it's going to be completely different, just like it was here with all the other HIV drugs. It was unapproachable for a regular person to be able to purchase them. But if you went overseas, they were basically giving them away for free because it was about national security. As countries fall because their leadership gets sick, there's an instability that happens as a result of it. And, we look at it more as an LGBT thing, or at least it was considered that here. But around the rest of the world, when you get into Southern Africa and stuff like that, those were devastated, and, countries fall because leadership dies. It's that simple. This is a game changer.
I just feel like for preventative purposes. So is Medicaid going to provide this where it's cheaper to give them PrEP for a year, even though it's much harder to get them to take PrEP because it's a daily pill? Do you think that they're going to spend the $40,000 on this, or would they do? I think PrEP is what?
I think if you look at the cost of putting someone in the hospital, and Vaughn, you probably could speak to this. What it costs to spend a weekend in the hospital. If this is a much cheaper, long end game.
Didn't Biden pass a law though for a lower rate of medications recently?
But it was on specific drugs.
Oh, okay.
It was if you're diabetic, it capped it at was it $40?
Right, but they did it on, they've done it on PrEP too, because technically there was only one available that was a generic, and there's people that can't take that. So that law obviously changes that so that there are more options available. And I think when we look at like you talked about, the worldwide view, and you look at the areas in South Africa where, it's a huge issue, people won't, like women or anything like that, where they're doing studies for a lot of these to happen. They'll go get the medication, but guess what? They're throwing it away before they get home because they don't want their husbands or anybody to find out about it.
Stigma.
Now this is an injection, and you're done for a year.
And you can get it at a Walgreens, so you're not going into something that's marked as an HIV van or into a HIV service organization.
So, and just to kind of, to trace, we started with the AIDS cocktail, and then we eventually got to daily PrEP. And now there is a once a month shot now. And now a once a year shot looks like it's going to come out. Imagine what we could have done had we been allowed to start that research 20 years before.
Right.
I mean, it's a tragedy that it took us so long.
Look how long it took Reagan to act. Everything snowballs and has a domino effect by everyone's decisions.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
I'm Corey Billions, and let's queer up drag culture. Seminole Hard Rock to host Gala, Drag Brunch, and Men of Hard Rock Review February 23rd. Seminole Hard Rock has become one of South Florida's greatest LGBTQ community supporters. But the news today was a major surprise as they announced a gigantic event called Hard Rock Drag Brunch. The show and brunch is Sunday, February 23rd, and will be hosted in the Hard Rock Event Center. Hosted by South Florida's beloved Daisy Dead Petals, love her. The show is a unique combination of drag and male burlesque. The show stars Maya Iman LePage from RuPaul's Drag Race. Other famous queens include T.P. Lords, Erica Norrell, Mia Starr, Trinity Beat, and Twink. The show will also feature the Men of Hard Rock. The $85 tickets include a full open bar and a lavish buffet. Eric Eldridge, Seminole Hard Rock's director of special events, told Queer News Tonight, "We couldn't be more excited to host our upcoming Hard Rock Drag Brunch. Expect dazzling performances and an all-you-can-eat gourmet buffet, an open bar, and one-of-a-kind all-male review that only the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood can produce." When asked about such a major commitment, he added, "Our support for the LGBTQ plus community isn't just something we believe in, it's a core part of who we are. We prioritize supporting local LGBTQ plus organizations, including the Harvey Milk Foundation, the Pride Center at Equality Park, the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, and many more. We are committed to uplifting these vital communities." Daisy Dead Petals talked about the importance of such a major drag event. She said, "I'm so excited to be the host of such a major drag brunch as Seminole Hard Rock. The hotel is known for over-the-top amazingness, and with every show they bring to life. They're spectacular event spaces, and this show is definitely getting the Hard Rock treatment. They always do it big, but this is absolutely supersizing the drag brunch experience. Mark your calendars and get your tickets now for Hard Rock Drag Brunch on February 23rd. This is one you don't want to miss, and I'm not going to miss it." I love Daisy Dead Petals. She always gets my tips and dollars and love.
If anyone can do over-the-top hard rock, that's going to be Daisy. It's my friend's birthday weekend, and he texted me first thing this morning, and he's like, "We have to do this for my birthday." I said, "Obviously, we're going to do whatever you want, but it's got Daisy, it's got Erica, it's got TP, it's got all the great queens."
The backflipping queen, Maya Iman LePage.
Looks like we're all going to be there.
I think we probably will be, yeah.
Right.
And kudos to Eric Aldridge, because he has been a huge advocate of ours since he took that job there, and I don't even know how far back, but as far as I can remember, he is the person. And when you were doing a fundraiser at Lips and you needed a gift basket, you got the big guitar worth $1,000 plus the stay in the hotel, and he was giving those out to all the organizations, mostly LGBT, that we know of or that I'm familiar with at these different silent auctions and stuff. And I know it raises a lot of money. Yeah. He was even at one of our events, and it was a bidding was going so strong that he dropped in a second one and said, "Here's another $1,000 thing. If both of you will pay for, we'll make it." And so both people win, and we end up with double the money. So Eric deserves a major kudos for the work he does and being with our community.
It sounds like a fun event, but I have to be a cringy millennial for a second and say I had no idea that drag queens would now use the name just Twink. I was like, oh, is there a twink performing? Oh no, it's a drag queen.
I'm just hoping there are twinks there.
Well, then you won't need to be there because you'll take one right away. You'll check out. You'll get a room at the hotel. We need to do a little interview.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. I'm not sure what that means. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
I'm Glen Weinzimer, and let's queer up business. Facebook says they made a mistake over queer content censorship. Meta admitted to mistakenly censoring LGBTQ hashtags on Instagram under its, quote, sensitive content policy. Hashtags like hashtag lesbian, hashtag gay, and hashtag bisexual were restricted, especially for teen users on the platform. Journalist Taylor Lorenz exposed the issue, prompting Meta to reverse the restrictions immediately. A representative from Meta said, quote, "These search terms and hashtags were mistakenly restricted," end quote, pledging to make all communities feel welcome. GLAAD criticized the policy, calling it harmful to LGBTQ youth who seek support and connection online. The restrictions began in September of 2024 under new Instagram teen accounts. Settings controlled by guardians. There's so much on this, like accident, because I ran it. the hashtags that were included were hashtag lesbian, hashtag bisexual, hashtag gay, hashtag trans, hashtag queer, hashtag non-binary, hashtag pansexual, hashtag trans women, hashtag T-girl, and it goes on from there. That's not an accident.
That's right.
That's a deliberate group that pulling every LGBTQ out and deciding they're not going to be able to access certain content that's related. And when you talk about youth, it does restrict their ability to learn and educate, because if they can't click on hashtag, gay love story, or whatever it might be, it definitely has an educational factor to it. What was interesting, I was on the way to the show tonight, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about that they've reducing restrictions on almost everything. That's right. Ironically, because they were one of the biggest critics of Trump. And to make peace, they believe, with Trump and the Republican Party, they've gone ahead and lifted restrictions. They're going to be doing less fact checking, as I think was the whole story was about, let the community fact check. We're not going to do fact checking anymore because it's so vast and we don't want to get it wrong. So instead, they're going to let you and I respond, or someone else respond who doesn't have necessarily the credentials behind them to be able to make an accurate statement that then goes worldwide and is misunderstood. So, it's really interesting how they turned it around so quickly on this hashtag LGBT things, but what they're also doing in a larger, broader way.
But this isn't new with social media companies. I used to be a researcher for something called Media Matters, and one look at is how social media was doing things. And Twitter was, before Elon bought it, Twitter wasn't the worst, but Facebook has always had a long, bad history of this. Personally, even when I'm on TikTok, if I say something about like gay bars, I'll be told it's a content violation. Yeah. These social media companies are constantly blocking us. And YouTube, too, has been known for years to hide LGBTQ stories. And this is something that we do need to do more about. I'm glad that GLAAD is trying to do something about it. I actually think all the different LGBTQ organizations should be more involved in this, because if you can't get your message out on social media, how are you going to do anything else with an LGBTQ rights organization?
Gives me more respect for the Hallmark Channel.
Right.
For those family value shows. They're doing some gay stuff now. Like this Christmas, they had a bunch of specials. But yeah, to think that they're the liberal group.
Will those clips get suppressed on Facebook right now?
Your guess is as good as mine.
But wasn't there a Senate hearing for this? So isn't this like a law broken, or doesn't he owe like a gay organization some money or something? Like what? There's no benefit behind it.
When Republicans do a social media hearing, it's Republican conservatives complaining that they do. I've literally watched this before. They complain they don't get enough likes and retweets on certain posts. It is the most bizarre thing to ever watch if you ever have an extra hour.
And it's a small group of people controlling everything. That's the scary part of it also. It isn't necessarily the opinion, of our society in general. It's an opinion of a couple of people that don't like something, that stand up and scream loud enough that suddenly we're making changes because of, and I guess it goes both ways on both sides. If we don't scream about our rights as an LGBTQ community, are we any better? We're fighting for what we believe.
But shouldn't we get past screaming? Like at this point, we just got to stop screaming.
Does it even matter?
I'm sorry, I wasn't yelling at you.
Yeah, you can't help yourself. You're Jewish.
What do you know?
It's the screening that's the issue. And Facebook knows this. Facebook actually sat down with the task force back in 2018. And we talked about these concerns with them. This is very clear that they didn't listen.
Because think about it. Are they screening any other hashtags that's dealing with hate speech or
any other
culture, right, or anything like that? No.
Well, and it's that 180 they're doing to kind of get back in favor with Trump and the Republicans that every company is doing, as you were
the inauguration
about, Alex. With the AI creator. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today, and there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up South Florida. The 6th annual Our Fund LGBTQ Philanthropy Awards will be presented February 8. The Our Fund Foundation is the only LGBTQ-specific community foundation in Southeastern America. It's one of the largest LGBTQ plus funders in the country and has awarded more than $24 million in grants. The Our Fund Foundation connects legacy givers and donors with organizations that support the LGBTQ plus community. Today, they announced the Our Fund Foundation will host the 6th annual LGBTQ Philanthropy Awards on February 8, presented by Bank of America Private Bank. The event honors philanthropy, volunteerism, and leadership. It will be held at the Broward Center for the Performing Arts in South Florida. Honorees and guests will enjoy a cocktail reception before the ceremony in the ballroom. Tiffany Eubank Sanders will be the guest speaker for this year's prestigious event. She leads diversity-focused strategies at Bank of America, serving underserved groups, including the LGBTQ community. The 2025 award recipients include the Wharton Foundation as Philanthropist of the Year. Melba de Leon will receive the Commitment to a Cause Award for her impactful efforts. Jeff Del May will be honored with the Next Generation Philanthropy Award for emerging leadership. And the evening will spotlight exceptional contributions making South Florida a welcoming LGBTQ plus community. Get full details, and you can see how to participate by going to ourfund.org. Most people are used to me talking about philanthropy and LGBTQ organizations of questioning where they get their money. And one thing when I went on to our foundation is I like that they post where they get all their money from. Mm-hmm. They have what we are dealing with in the nonprofit. It's mostly foundations that give to them and where we go as a community with that. But it's nice to see them doing a fun event. They do a lot specifically in South Florida. I think it's better when you're doing a pass-through organization like this to be more focused in a community than trying to be one of the big broad groups that tries to donate all over the country. So this looks like a nice time.
And our fund does a really good job of the small guy who can't do the research on an organization that they want to give money to. They know they want to do good, but they don't always know or have the resources to do it. So our fund acts as almost like a clearinghouse to be able to at least say, no, you can't give to that, or these are the ones that are really in need, or this is what's really happening right now, where your energy and time should go. And so for that, I give David kudos for that effort.
So it's the transparency on both ends then that you're talking about, and how important that is for philanthropy.
Yeah,
I like that word.
And
you like that word?
That's a great word.
That's a great word.
Kind of like you said, some of these smaller organizations don't have the breadth to where if they're going to apply for a very large grant, they're probably not going to get those, because they're competing with the very large organizations that are applying for those. So this allows our fund to really support these smaller agencies that are doing a lot of work in communities that aren't being affected by some of these larger organizations.
And let's be honest, state and federal grants are basically dried up. Right. They're basically gone.
So the arts and stuff are really being supported, but like in our fund where that money disappeared, they stepped in, and I know they helped a lot of organizations be able to maintain their programming.
Right.
Well, one of the nominees, the Wharton Foundation, is located in Boca. I was going through their list of grants and donations for the year. They donated to the Broward House and the Pride Center, so it's nice that they are there for people.
Right.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Visit Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival invites a celebrity chef to host beachside brunch for you. The Visit Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival invites you to do its beachside brunch event on Sunday, January 19th. It will feature amazing culinary talent from Greater Fort Lauderdale. The brunch will take place on the lawn of Los Olas Oceanside Park, and celebrity chef Nancy Fuller will be the host of the event. Promising a memorial gourmet experience, attendees can enjoy delectable bites prepared by top chefs in a stunning beachside setting. Tickets for the event are $85, offering food lovers a delicious Sunday getaway. Don't miss this opportunity to savor incredible dishes and mingle with food enthusiasts. Secure your tickets today at visitlauderdale.com. Well, I love food, so, it's going to be a great opportunity. I'm seeing a repetitive thing, $85 to these events that are having a lot of food, and I'm like going, you'll spend more than that if you just wanted to go out.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to spend $85 at a
restaurant.
restaurant.
So it's very well worth it.
Yeah. We got lots of food in South Florida, so everybody beware of your beach buddies that need to be out for.
That's why I get rid of my restaurant. It was like, I can't eat all that food and be in a beach body.
But you can't be in a beach body, period.
I was going to say Pride, right?
Will you let me one of your moo-moos next time I have to go to the beach?
Yes,
I'm working on my dad bod.
Perfect.
I'm owning it.
But you can do that by having the great food at
I'm going to start
at the
there.
event. This is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent, well, we say the best of our LGBTQ and ally communities. No, they are the best of our LGBTQ and
Good,
ally
because your
communities.
chair is wired.
And we want to tell the stories of our queer community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I've been your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Tai Houser, and on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Corey Billions, Vaughn Biggs, Glen Weinzimer, and Alex Morash. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ world, we wish you love, generosity, bravery while being transformative, and, well, queer.
Fair.
Good night.
Good night.